You think the Indian thinking has changed now? Because there's a whole lot of talk that the Indian foreign policy has become more muscular, or Indian policy makers, even if you see Dr. Jaishankar's visit, uh, if you see the UN statements, if you see his statements in America, when he's called out America's bluff regarding F-16s, that what are you trying to say? That you're not trying to, I mean, you are not fooling anyone when you say that F-16s are used for counter-terror. Not that it had any impact, because Secretary Blinken was like blasé about it, right? So, but when India puts out this kind of an advisory, I'm going to come back to it, that it seems like the Canadian authorities were tone deaf to understand that this is not something that is going to be taken lightly anymore, or it's not going to be ignored anymore, or just kept at the bare perfunctory statement.
There is a degree of tone deafness certainly in Canada. Um, do you remember when um, Justin Trudeau visited in 2018,
Hmm.
along with that Jaspal Atwal,
Mm-hmm.
who they had to then disinvite,
Yeah.
and it
And
was an enormous embarrassment.
he didn't come as an official or something
Yes,
like
but he
that. It was
came
like
with him.
he came with him.
Uh, and he was invited to two official events
Hmm.
before he was disinvited.
Yeah.
Um, and that tells you a little bit about the tone deafness with them in Canada. Um, Regarding the Indian muscular sort of response, I would say Indian response in the last few years has become more, shall we say, open.
Hmm.
Earlier, earlier we may have thought twice that we don't want to anger the
Hmm.
Canadians. We've got so many other interests with them. Um, I think now we are putting our security concerns right up there on the table and making no bones about it. You've seen this kind of a response, I mean, everywhere from Pakistan to others. Um, we, the this government at least believes that security interests, security concerns are paramount, and we will raise them, we will put them up on the table as much as possible. I mean, look at Jaishankar, even used the statement, used his UNSC intervention, where he called out Russia, certainly,
Hmm.
but he also called out China, because China
Yeah.
has been blocking sanctions on terrorists who target India but operate out of Pakistan, but particularly people like Sajid Mir. Uh, so you are seeing uh, a little more openness and a little more sort of out there, put it out there
Put it out there, yeah.
kind of
So
thing.
you've covered the foreign ministry for a long time. I mean, I've also covered it for a short
Sure.
time, yeah. So these kind of things were done behind closed doors, and then when there was an off the record briefing for
Yeah.
journalists, we were told that candid conversation
Yes.
happened, or
Yes.
India put forth in a strong manner
Yes.
or in a forthright
Yeah.
manner. But what happened in those conversations, the exact words were never put out there. But now we are probably doing it at both levels.
Yeah.
We're putting it out there in the closed door
Yeah.
meetings, but being open about it, and not shying away from saying that this kind of a dichotomy of of saying everything is hunky dory but actually not being there.
Sure.
Do you think that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think what's happening more and more about issues like this is they're not taking that refuge behind uh, off the record conversations.
Hmm.
In fact, they're just putting everything out on the record
Hmm.
and then waiting for it to fall where it falls.
And how has this fallen, do you think? It's
Well,
not, I mean, it's had no impact, right? In
no,
fact,
I
you've
don't.
got, or
I
do you think that the Canadian response is just an anodyne response, which they do every year, or advisory every year, that, oh, okay, like,
see the Canadian response today is clearly a response to our
I
response,
see.
right? But I mean, I've spoken to many Canadian officials about where we are, and so they put this line to us, to me at least, that we really want to get rid of these elements as well.
Hmm.
We want to get rid of these elements. We would like a little more information, evidence from India. So it struck me then that they were sounding exactly like the Pakistanis.
Yeah. The
Because
dossier game that
we
you used
used
to
to
play.
play the you have my dossier, I have your
Yeah.
dossier. Your dossier is thinner than mine is fatter than yours.
So add more
Yeah.
files.
And everybody, the Pakistanis used to say, even then, give us more evidence.
Yeah.
Give us more evidence that Lashkar-e-Taiba operates out of my country. Give us more evidence that Jaish-e-Mohammed operates out of this country. So we went through this entire cycle with Pakistan for years, and as you remember correctly. But it seems to me that it is in a strange way
Yeah.
we are having a sort of a replay of that